Hello everyone, welcome to What If Luffy Was in High School DXD Part 1. Before we start, please go support MURAMASA02 for writing that awesome fanfic. Now let's begin. This is a One Piece and DXD fic, but the worlds are combined. Prologue. They can look but can't touch, otherwise I'll break their fingers, Rika said with a bright smile that didn't fit the statement she just said. She was sexy and had no reason to hide it. Well, I for one, busy. Rika. A loud shout cut their conversation off, and immediately they recognized that voice. It's been 2 years since they heard from him. Wait a second, was that? They looked around and soon enough they would see their big brother at the gates of the school waving at them with a big smile on his face. He's really here, Rika, and Izzy looked at the man with tears falling down their eyes while he jumped over the gate with ease, landing a few feet away from them. Their big brother was home. Anai-chan. Shishishi, long time no see huh? Luffy asked them, happy to see them again as well. He had a large smile on his face, but noticed that he had a scar on his muscular chest and noticed that he had six-pack which sent alarms off in their heads. He's gotten muscular over the years, but where did he get that scar? Who hurt my Anai-chan? As they looked at the scar on his chest with anger and worry. But that could wait, their big brother was back, rushing up to embrace their brother. They jumped and he was forced to catch them, but he was sent spiraling to the ground whilst they were hugging him with tears of happiness flowing down their cheeks. Unfortunately, the students saw this and from their classrooms and they began shouting. Who's the idiot? And why is he touching Rika and Izzy senpai? He looks cool with those scars. Damn, I wish I was him right now. But a voice filled with authority silenced them all. What's going on out here? A voice cutting through the chatter like a butcher knife. After a few seconds, Luffy got up from being tackled by his siblings. Hey? Who are you? Luffy asked her. The girl pushed up her glasses that made a light shine on them, blocking her eyes, in which Luffy thought was cool. What are you doing here? Is there a reason why you are here on the premises during school hours? She notices something off about him, and that was why was he exposing his chest in broad daylight, and where did that scar come from? Those questions infiltrated her mind, but the boy answered her question with his own. Does a big brother need a reason to visit his little sisters? Rika and Izzy senpai have a brother. Was there something I said? Asked a confused Luffy to his sisters. His sisters shook their heads, a smile appearing on their faces because he was back home with them while he just started laughing. Man, it feels good to be home. Luffy shouted with enthusiasm in his voice. You know what they say, ain't no place like home. Prologue end. I sure hope Luffy is okay, Izzy said, worried for her big brother. He did so much for her, but told her that he's starting grand adventure to become the king of the pirates, and he promised that he will see her again. He was a man that keeps his promises, so she never doubted his word. Walking to her next classes and the whispers began again, causing her to roll her eyes. Is that Izzy Haidu? Oh my god, she's an angel. Marry me Haidu senpai. The Haidus are so hot. How did they get a body like that? Ignoring the comments about her, especially the marriage one, she went to her next class hoping to get the day over with, but she didn't notice that two girls, one with black hair and blue eyes and one with the same colored eyes with the exception of red hair. Their names were Rias Gremory and Sona Citri, heirs to the Citri and Gremory clan respectively. So she's the one you wanted to recruit? The girl with black hair asked her childhood friend. Rias nodded her head, hoping to get out of her engagement. Her parents said it was for the good of the devil race, but that was just political bullshit and she knew it. The Satans are having a hard time keeping the world from going into another war, not to mention the world government has been on the move as well, gaining warlords on their side, not to mention those 3 admirals that were pretty damn strong. Did you sense it? Rias asked Sona, and she nodded her head. Their rook, Kaneko Taoju, sensed a draconic presence within her. Do you think she can help you out of your predicament? I can feel it, but one thing's for certain, let's hope that it doesn't end like the last time when a devil tried to subjugate a dragon. Remembering the last time someone tried it, but then again they weren't stupid enough to try and force anything. The last time the supernatural did that, it didn't end well. So much fire in the underworld that if a human was there they can safely say they've been to hell and back. Well, it is your turn anyway, you're lucky you beat me, otherwise I would try to recruit her. Sona said to her, which Rhea suggested something else. What about Rika? She could be a wonderful addition to your peerage, I mean, have you seen her matches? After going to a few of those matches herself, she knows she was something special. Rika Haidu was an idol to many of the girls at Kuo Academy, her looks and martial arts skills. She was a monster in human skin according to her opponents. Never thought about that. If she would have won, she would have 2 dragons in her peerage. That would be fantastic, but she certainly wouldn't mind Suki being in her peerage. Kaneko, keep an eye on her, will ya? The girl with white hair and yellow eyes nodded her head while eating snacks, as usual. Few moments later. Finally found you, I thought you were avoiding me, Rika Onachan. Rika Haidu, three-time martial arts champion and also a track star, and had a body more developed than her sisters with her black hair and blue eyes in her favorite outfit, which she was wearing a white black jacket and on her right wrist was an orange bracelet, whilst also wearing a black miniskirt which showed off her legs, which earned a lot of compliments from boys and girls. Let me guess those boys were bothering you again. You know you can punch them if you want, it's the pervert duo after all so nobody would care. Rika said wondering why her sister hasn't done so already. Then why don't you stop them from peeking on you? Izzy asked wondering why she never did anything about that. And she got her answer whilst Rika was leaning on a desk with some light blue headphones in her ears. That's a simple question, Izzy. She put her arms up in the air as she was praising the sun. They can look but can't touch, otherwise I'll break their fingers, Rika said with a bright smile that didn't fit the statement she just said. She was sexy and had no reason to hide it. Well, I for one, Izzy. Rika. The loud shout cut their conversation off and immediately they recognized that voice. It's been 2 years since they heard from him. Wait a second, was that? They looked around and soon enough they would see their big brother at the gates of the school waving at them with a big smile on his face. He's really here, Rika, and Izzy looked at the man with tears falling down their eyes while he jumped over the gate with ease, landing a few feet away from them. Their big brother was home. Anai-chan. Shishishi, long time no see huh? Luffy asked them happy to see them again as well. He had a large smile on his face, but noticed that he had a scar on his muscular chest and noticed that he had six-pack which sent alarms off in their heads. He's gotten muscular over the years, but where did he get that scar? Who hurt my Anai-chan? As they looked at the scar on his chest with anger and worry. But that could wait, their big brother was back, rushing up to embrace their brother. They jumped and he was forced to catch them, but he was sent spiraling to the ground whilst they were hugging him with tears of happiness flowing down their cheeks. Unfortunately the students saw this and from their classrooms and they began shouting. Who's the idiot? And why is he touching Rika and Izzy senpai? He looks cool with those scars. Damn, I wish I was him right now. But a voice filled with authority silenced them all. What's going on out here? A voice cutting through the chatter like a butcher knife. After a few seconds Luffy got up from being tackled by his siblings. Hey? Who are you? Luffy asked her. The girl pushed up her glasses that made a light shine on them blocking her eyes, in which Luffy thought was cool. What are you doing here? Is there a reason why you are here on the premises during school hours? She notices something off about him, and that was why was he exposing his chest in broad daylight, and where did that scar come from? Those questions infiltrated her mind, but the boy answered her question with his own. Does a big brother need a reason to visit his little sisters? Rika and Izzy senpai have a brother. Was there something I said? Asked a confused Luffy to his sisters. His sisters shook their heads, a smile appearing on their faces because he was back home with them while he just started laughing. Man, it feels good to be home. Luffy shouted with enthusiasm in his voice. You know what they say, ain't no place like home. Chapter 1. Rika and Izzy Haidu were still hugging their brother and the crowd was still going wild with shock. You're really back, Naichi, Rika said, still hugging her brother who's been away from them for 2 years. Luffy, while he was happy to see them, wanted to get up but they seemingly didn't want to let go of him. I'm happy to see you too as well, Luffy commented, but also noticing the crowd glaring at him. Why? He didn't know and didn't care either way. Sona Citri ordered all of them to return to class and they did just that, not wanting to anger her. Why didn't Rika or Izzy mention they had a brother? And also, where did he get that scar on his chest? The devils collectively asked to themselves while Luffy finally got up now that his sisters let go of him. Where have you been, Luffy? Not a single letter sent to us. We were worried sick. Izzy asked her brother and Luffy answered. Traveling with Grandpa, he's been teaching me things for me to become the king of the pirates. Luffy exclaimed. King of the pirates? Rias thought to herself while her peerage was interested on hearing the adventures Luffy has gone on in his 2 years gone from his family. So Grandpa took you with him. What was it like? I'm sure he can tell you more later, but you still have class, she would have continued, but the school bell went off signaling that school's out. Izzy. Rika. Race you home. As soon as he said that he was gone in a cloud of smoke, with his siblings hot pursuit yelling, oh no you don't. Running after him. Wow, who knew Izzy and Rika have such a carefree brother? Akeno said out loud. Not to mention that scar on his chest that she thought was pretty hot. Yeah, who knew? The Knight of Rias Gremory Kiba said. Did you sense anything from him, Kaneko? Rias asked her Rook and she responded. Nothing, no sacred gear or anything. Kaneko told her king, but Rias didn't think that was the case. Something tells her that there is something special about him. My baby boy is home. Miki Haidu exclaimed while hugging her son, blood related or not, she was still his mother and loved him all the same. Shishishi, I've missed you both. Especially your cooking, speaking of which I'm hungry, what's for dinner? I felt like I haven't ate in days. Luffy commented wanting some delicious homemade food. Whatever you want, Luffy, consider this your homecoming party, Mickey said, while Luffy yelled out loud, excited about what she just said. Oh man, I can't wait. Luffy was ecstatic about his mom just said. But Izzy stopped him before anything could happen. Hold up an Aichin before you do anything, take a shower. Izzy immediately demanded while Luffy grumbled in disappointment in being denied food but relented and went to go take a shower. But Mickey and Goru Haidu noticed that scar on his chest and came to the conclusion that it was akeno. That was also the reason why Mickey's dad brought him along in the first place, to train him so that he can defend himself from the corrupt world government. Appa must have taught him hockey, he also has the presence of a conqueror as well, Mickey thought to herself, proud of how strong her son is. The world government has been on Luffy's tail since he was at the tender age of 5 due to his devil fruit, but he doesn't know that. His path is dangerous one, and she knew that but couldn't help but worry. Ever since he told her his dream to be the Pirate King, she and Goru supports his dream. It's what parents should do when their children have a goal or a dream set on their minds. Nobody from the world government or the higher-ups in the supernatural world knew not to mess with the Haidus or her last name before she was married, which was Newgate due to her father's fame across the seas. Luffy, after finishing his shower, sensed 4 hostiles outside the house, just 3 floating around it while 1 was in the bushes. Who could these people be? Luffy thought to himself. Putting on his straw hat, he went to handle the situation. So she's our target. The Red Dragon Empress. Dahansek said. While his comrades Rainer, Kalwerner and a stray exorcist named Freed scoped out the Haidu household. Rainer was grinning manically at the thought of gaining incredible power, but would have to get rid of this lowly human that possesses power she is not worthy of wielding. She doesn't look special, she's just a lowly human, let's end her so I can get ready to take that nun's sacred gear when she arrives, Rainer said to her comrades, as if it was that easy. What happened to Middled? Is she not here? Kalwerner asked her friends, and Rainer dismissed her, saying that she stayed behind because she thought it was a bad idea. If only they had the same common sense as her. Let's not strike now, we should wait until the time is right, Dahansek said, but Freed didn't want to wait any longer. Fuck that. I'm here to cut some people up and that's what I'm gonna do. Freed laughed like a psycho. Boy, what are you all doing? A voice cut through the air while they looked to see a man with black hair with a scar under his eye with another scar on his chest as well, with his arms crossed with his straw hat on his head. Who the hell are you, human? Rainer arrogantly asked, but Luffy could care less about her question. Who cares who he is? I've finally got someone to. Freed was cut off by a fist to his gut, knocking him out. With only 1 punch. Freed exclaimed in his mind before he lost consciousness. Luffy stared at the ones with wings with a glare, and Rainer readied her spear made from holy energy. The name is Rainer, remember it well, lowly human. As she lazily threw her spear at Luffy, which he dodged easily, surprisingly Rainer a little, and responded with his own attack. Gomu Gomu no, Luffy readies himself, which made Rainer laugh arrogantly. Really? You think you can hit me at that range, you stew? Pistol. A fist punches her right in the face, sending her to the ground yards away. Did his arm just stretch? Kalwerner and Dahansek exclaimed in their minds. Luffy looked at them but made no move to attack them, and Dahansek, seeing an opportunity to retreat. Retreat. If we don't, we'll fail what we've come here to do. He yells to his comrades, but Rainer, after getting up from being decked in the face, was seething. Who are these guys? But those wings are cool. Luffy thought to himself while the black-haired woman wearing what he thought was weird clothes prepared to attack again. Retreat, I have to repay him for. She was cut off by Kalwerner knocking her out and the 3 of them teleporting away, leaving Luffy alone. Why did they run away? They forgot that other guy. Luffy asked himself. Noticing the guy in weird clothes still knocked out, he picked him up, but wondering where he was gonna put him. He could put this weirdo near that abandoned building he saw when he went to the academy. Yeah, that can work, and plus dinner's ready so there's no time to waste. Stretching his arm, he grabbed a building and flung himself to his destination. But he accidentally let go of the guy, so he went through the window, shattering the glass all over the floor. Whoops, didn't mean to do that, he commented and proceeded to head back home. Another day, another stray put down, Rias commented out loud with her peerage, heading back to the orc. That stray was a pervert, he kept looking at me with that disgusting look, a monotone voice coming from Kaneko Taoju. The creature had an eye on her specifically, so she's just punched him until it was dead. Too bad I couldn't punish him myself, Akeno said whilst licking her lips, in which Kaneko turned around and told her that, you're a pervert. Which made Akeno brush off the comment by laughing, but Kiba notices something off. Eyes look up ahead. The Prince of Kuo said, pointing, and they all looked to see what he was talking about, which was the Occult Research Club. I sent someone in there, Kaneko stated. They get closer and noticed a broken window which set off alarms in their heads. Nothing stolen, just a broken window, Akeno told them, but noticed something in the corner of her eye and walked over to see what it was. Guys, get over here, I think we found out who did it. She stated to her friends. It was the unconscious body of a stray exorcist, a well-known stray exorcist at that named Freed Selzen. Found anything? Rias asks Akeno and she nodded her head. Should we kill him? Kiba asked his king. But Rias had another idea. He could have something on these fallen that we've been monitoring, if so it will be much more beneficial if he was alive. And after that? Kaneko asks. Then he will die. Rias contacts Sona as well to let her in on what happened. But the question is, how did he get here without setting off barrier around the school? That will have to be answered later. Rias gave orders to search Kuo for any leads on the fallen in her territory she was given. The girl with long blonde hair and green eyes wearing a nun outfit with a staff in hand walking towards her destination, which was Kuo, her captain's hometown. I just want get back to my captain if you don't mind, he forgot all about me. The girl pouted but knew that once her captain has her eyes set on something he will not stop until he gets it. Sorry boys but you're in my way. Raising her hand and the sky had gotten darker, then she brought her hand down to deliver judgment while the Marines tried to run away, but it was too late, judgment was upon them. L4. Chapter 2. Izzy woke up to a weird dream, she could have swore she saw a red dragon calling her his host on which left her confused but shook it off and got ready for school. Red Dragon Emperor? Does this have something to do with the supernatural world, she thought to herself. But if that's the case, did her sister have the same thing happen to her in her dream? No use stressing about it. I only know the supernatural world exists because dad used to be a former exorcist, she commented to herself. He retired because the men wanted to be there for them and hated the fact that he wasn't going to be there for his daughters. Not to mention that the church is filled with corruption and their leaders are too slow to handle it. Yeah, guess I got her ready for school, she sighed. She really hates school, but since her sister goes with her she could bear it. But the perverts talking ahead of her she won't tolerate though, she won't go out and beat them because they haven't touched her, but it can get repetitive. Putting on her academy outfit and her sister was waiting for her at the door with toast in her mouth. Where's Anaichin? I didn't see him in his room. She asked her sister who shrugged her shoulders and she asked another question. Did you have a strange dream last night, Rika? Rika nodded her head. Yeah, all I saw was a man with blonde hair with blue and red eyes fighting some old guy. She answered whilst walking towards the academy and noticed some students she hasn't seen before, one with black hair and violet eyes and one with blue hair, both of them were being ogled by the perverted duo. Just another day at Kuo Academy, nothing really new here. If only Luffy was here with us, they both thought. So you mean to tell me that a drunk exorcist somehow jumped through your window? Sona was baffled about that. It just didn't make any sense, not at all. I'm telling you that's what happened, Sona. Ria said once again. It sounded crazy, but that's what she came up with to somehow connect the dots. Speaking of which, you've noticed they're in the school now, right? Sona nodded her head. Anything else you want to tell me? Sona asked her childhood friend. Yeah, have you found out about anything about Suki and Izzy's brother? Nothing, only the fact that he wants to be the Pirate King. She would have continued if not for the appearance from the man himself. Oh man, so this is school, it seems dull. Luffy said honestly, not even bothered that he just appeared in the occult research club. I didn't even sense him. Both thought in unison. Oh, I know you too, you're Sonic and Ria's right. Luffy stated, making Ria's laugh, and Sona now had a tick mark on her forehead. It's Sona, she corrected him. That's what I said. No you didn't, you said Sonic. Your hearing is messed up then. Wah. Calm down, Sona repeated in a mantra. And went to ask him a question, but he was over by the counter. What are you doing? Luffy, after finding what he was looking for, was a bag of sweets. Specifically Kaneko's bag of sweets. Aha. Found you. Now that he has found what he wanted, he sat down on the couch and begun to eat them. Not even caring that he wasn't even a student here at the school. Hey, shouldn't you be? Hey Sona, can I ask you a question? I suppose it wouldn't hurt to ask, go on. As she let him ask his question. What is your dream? He asked seriously. Her dream? She looked at him for a few seconds of silence. I want to build a raiding game school for devils so they can learn the rules of a raiding game. I don't want to see any more lower mid-class devils die because they weren't taught the rules. She said with confidence. This was a dream many have laughed at, but she didn't care and she was expecting he would do the same. After a few moments of silence she rolled her eyes, ready for laughter, but it never came. That's a dream worth making a reality, Sona. Me and you have big dreams to accomplish, don't we? She was shocked, she honestly thought he was gonna tell her it was stupid, but then again she realizes that this man wants to be the Pirate King. He was a man who didn't make fun of other people's dreams and he was one of the few people who supported her. Follow you dream to the end, Sona, and don't let no one stop you. I've set myself to become the Pirate King, and if I die before that happens, at least I can die knowing I tried my best. He exclaimed with nothing but pure confidence in his voice. Why is he doing this? He barely knows her and yet he supports her dream. I've got a better idea, Sona, why not join my crew? Wait, what? How could I achieve my dream if I am on your crew? And plus I have a peerage to lead. She asked him. Shishishi, that's easy Sona, you could make more allies and enjoy the world has to offer instead of staying in one place for the rest of your life, learn new things that your family doesn't know about, and most importantly, he walked up to them both. You can make your own legacy, one that you can be proud of and one that you both have earned from your hard work, that's the best feeling in the world. He smiled at them once again that filled them with warmth. Sona, Rias, only you can decide when your legend begins and ends, no one else and don't worry if you don't want to be a part of my crew, we can still be allies. For some reason unknown to her, she started to shed tears at his words. It was like he was confident that they both can do whatever they want. Well, see ya. As he was getting ready to leave, Rias asked him one last thing. Wait, we never got your name. Monkey D. Luffy and I'm gonna be the king of the pirates. And then he left via window leaving them to their thoughts. Monkey D. Luffy. What a fascinating guy, they both thought to themselves. Being his ally would be spectacular. Wait, did he say his name was Luffy? Rias asked out loud and Sona nodded her head still in a trance about what the ambitious man just said to them. Wait. He's the grandson of Whitebeard, Sona shouted now that her trance has been broken out of. The bird flies through the broken window of the orc and hands them a newspaper and they saw his face and also his bounty. Wow, I had no idea, he seems like the nicest pirate we've seen so far, Rias commented, but Sona wasn't paying attention because she was too focused on. Ah, so you were staring at his abs this whole time he's been here, Rias teased her, which made Sona blush and deny it immediately. Could I join his crew? When I was a kid I loved reading stories about going on adventure, but can I actually be able to do that now? The Citriaris thought to herself. Can she really be a pirate and a future clan leader as well? Maybe, maybe not, but who says you can't try? The vast amount of knowledge of this world is out there, and only she can make the decision to go out there and get it, but the question is, will she do it? Chapter 3. School's almost over, thank goodness. Izzy thought to herself. Now don't get her wrong, she doesn't hate school, but math is the only class she hates with a burning passion, same with Rika. Hey Izzy. Yeah? What the fuck is x plus 7 divided by 35? What type of bullshit is that? Who was the dumbass who thought putting letters in math was okay? Rika yelled out loud, which some of the students looked at her and agreeing as well. Like seriously, what the fuck, if she could find that person she would shove her foot right up his or her ass. I'm pretty sure everyone here understands your pain, Onachan. Izzy said to her but was cut off when she heard the door open and looked over her shoulder and noticed Kiba coming in. Oh my god, it's our prince. It's Kibakin. Why is he here? Taking all the girls again. Why is he here? She was wondering why the so-called prince is in her class while all the girls gathered around him. Sorry girls, I'm here for Izzy Haidu, he said apologetically to the flock of girls around him, but the boys however heard what he said and it went out of control. Oh no. He's taking one of the 4 hottest girls away from us. We cannot allow such vileness to happen. Hey Izzy. A voice called out to her, but it felt faint, so she looked around for a few seconds and didn't see anyone, but at the last second she saw someone and it was her brother, but he was on top of building across from her waving at her, and she looked shocked. How did he get up there? Izzy and Kiba wondered. Well, they can ask that question later. Is there something you need, Kiba? She asked him and he nodded. Rias Gremory wanted to speak to you and your sister after school, you think you can make time for that? He asked her and she nodded her head. She has time to kill anyway. Yeah, we'll be there, after school right? He nodded and said she'll be there. She wondered what they needed them for, but I guess that's why she can find out in a few minutes. Any luck on how to take her out? Dehansi asked them both, but Calawerner shook her head, while Raynor was angry at the fact she got punched. But at least she found out that he ate a devil fruit, he's the one the government been looking for some reason. It doesn't matter, even if we had a plan for her they found out about it already. She snarled. It was embarrassing, she had it all planned out and one human fucked it all up, but none of them noticed something on the back of Raynor's neck. Well, maybe if you would listen to others for once and not feed your damn ego we wouldn't be in this situation, would we? He reprimanded her for her foolishness. It doesn't matter, I'll kill him next time, besides it's not like the devils or anybody can reincarnate him as a devil anyway if you haven't noticed. It was strange, but if a human ate a devil fruit they could not under any circumstances be turned into an angel, devil or a fallen, they just didn't know why, but that didn't stop them from trying, which ended badly for a few devils who were stupid enough to try. The select few devil fruit users have sacred gears as well, which made them hybrids due to them having both powers, not a lot of them, but there are some who have both powers, so that made some greedy people from all sides want them in their ranks. There was one fallen angel who didn't like the 3 biblical factions that they were treating their god's creations like they were disposable tools and said they should protected by them if they needed it and not used and discarded like trash. Even if he was warmonger he loved humans. The biblical faction side found a way to boost their numbers, thought different methods. Scourge pieces for the fallen angels, evil pieces for the devils and cards for the angels like aces, spades, jokers turning them into angels to replenish their numbers which they desperately needed to do after the Great War. That nun should be arriving soon, her sacred gear should be enough to end them. The nun whose sacred they wanted name was Asia Argento, who had no combat class from the info they have received despite having 2 weapons which was a staff and 2 short swords. Once she gains that power she will make Azazel love her and it will be perfect. How delusional can this girl be? It seems she didn't learn her lesson the last time. Soon enough they've arrived to Occult Research Club and Rika and Izzy noticed Kaneko and Akeno was also there. It's been a while hasn't it Izzy, Suki? Rias asked and both of them nodded their heads and eventually the room got quiet and then out of nowhere all 3 of them hugged each other. It's been 2 years since they last seen each other, the 4 of THEM counting Sona as well, hung out at the park when they were kids. It's good to see you both, while the Redeed hugged them for a few moments, but now it's back to business. Have you two been experiencing anything weird lately? She asked them holding that they are not part of the supernatural. They wanted no part of the supernatural world and she respected that decision and didn't force anything. Yeah, this morning actually Rika replied. I see it seems they've been dealt a bad hand if they wanted to live peaceful lives, but now that's been thrown out the window. Rias thought to herself. Well there's a reason for that, you see you have been given a sacred gear. You mean? Rias nodded her head and told them how she was sorry that they are now part of the supernatural, but they told her it wasn't her fault. But I have one last thing to tell you before we do anything else. You're all the devils aren't you? Rika asked her which shocked them. How did you? Our father was an exorcist and told us these things, don't worry we're not aligned with the church or anything. She told them which made them sigh in relief. Ain't no way they were getting in that clusterfuck of a situation. It's a good thing they didn't judge them for being devils, she didn't want to lose her friends. Do you know how to activate your sacred gear? Rias asked them in which they shook their head. So she showed them the ropes on how to do just that and eventually Izzy's right forearm had a red gauntlet with a green gem in which they had all noticed she was the Red Dragon Empress of the generation. Damn it, that means a lot of power-hungry assholes will be after me Izzy thought to herself. While that was happening with Izzy, Rika's eyes were now blue and red. Wait a second, this sacred gear is akeno. Is that what I think it is? Rias asked her friend telepathically and she couldn't believe it herself, but she nodded her head. Yes Rias, her sacred gear is Eyes of the Lord. Akeno told her which made Rias sigh as she felt bad for her friend's misfortune. That sacred gear is what all the factions in the supernatural world would kill to have. It can copy anything except for bloodlines and body types like for example, if someone has 4 arms they can't copy that, but they can copy the magic the caster uses, but the spell that he or she copied won't be as powerful unless you train the scared gear to the best of its abilities. Wow, these two will be quite the powerful people if they train the Gremory peerage thought to themselves. They've been training as well and didn't have as much time to do school due to the constant amount of strays that have been turning up here recently. But that's what absence excuses are for, so no cause for concern. I suppose I should fill you both in on what happened during the Great War, Rias said as she goes on to explain the history of the Great War and how they are on the brink of the destruction and the introduction of evil pieces which didn't fit right with her. She couldn't speak for the other devils in that situation. Wait, these evil pieces, what if the person was reincarnated but doesn't want to be a devil, or let's say he or she was tricked into it? Izzy asked. If there was a way to change the person back to a human we would do that, however we haven't found a way yet. She told them honestly. If there was one thing she was jealous about them was their freedom, they didn't have to live up to their name or anything like that. She hated having to do this for the good of the devil race nonsense which she hated but couldn't speak out against it. She thought back to the conversation with Luffy about only she can decide where her legend begins and ends and to let no one stop her, and she took those words to heart. If I become a pirate, I can do anything I want and get the politics away from me for once. The Redeed commented to herself. But she was afraid because if she goes with Luffy, she might have set the government of Devil's Side after him, and since he's a pirate, they would find some way to spin the story about him capturing her or some other bullshit. If you girls want nothing to do with me after I told you all this I don't blame you, eh? What are you talking about? It's clear to us that you do care because if you didn't you wouldn't have told us about all this, so don't worry, it reassured her and her peerage. She was glad she met these two, maybe after this she and her peerage can become pirates, but she would ask them first before making any decisions. Asking for their opinions first so'll be the right move. Sona is considering the same thing, I know that, and our overbearing siblings who always keep an eye on them, gets repetitive most of the time. She loved her brother, but can she have some space and learn to be independent and make my own decision for my future and not my family's? Rolling on the high seas with Luffy and friends sounds fantastic. Areas. What is it, Kaneko? Look outside, the sky. She pointed outside, and they all looked to see that indeed the clouds were getting more gray by the second. While that was happening Kaneko was looking for something, but noticing they were no longer there. Impossible. Kaneko was perplexed. Where are my sweets? Kaneko looked around the whole room but couldn't find a single bag of them. It's a long story, Rias replied. Perhaps Rias ate them all due to stress, she has been getting fat lately. Akeno teased. Nothing but false accusations, Rias defended herself. Are you sure, Rias? I mean, Kiba was cut off by a look from his king which causes him to backtrack and rethink his next sentence. On second thought, never mind, shouldn't we get ready to scout for more strays? He immediately changed the subject, not wanting to face a woman's fury. He was not running away, he was making a strategic retreat. A smart man. Strange, when did it decide to rain? Luffy asked out loud while walking on the streets and near the fountain, but he noticed someone familiar. Asia? Luffy yelled her name, and the woman turned around to see her captain, her fellow devil fruit user. Under Maiden Asia Argento. Bounty 200,345,000. Luffy? You left me by myself, you know. Asia grabbed his cheeks and started to pull on them, but she was happy to see him nonetheless. He was the one who picked her up when she had nowhere else to go, and she was thankful for that ever since. So it was you who did this, huh? She nodded her head, not even denying it. Come on, Asia, I bet you're starving, aren't ya? And you can't fight on an empty stomach. He said, imparting his wisdom for her to listen to. I can assure you I am not, she would have continued if not for the loud grunting from her stomach which made her embarrassed, and Luffy grabbed her hand, causing her to blush. Let's go. As they both ran towards the nearby restaurant. But before they could get there, they both sensed an attack coming and dodged it, and Luffy remembers the weirdly dressed girl. It's time for payback, Straw Hat. Rainer confidently stated. Oh, I know you, your name is, he trailed off trying to remember her name. My name is. I got it, your name's Skincare, isn't it? He pointed right at her. The FFT. Is that really your name? Asia put a hand over mouth to try and stop her from laughing. No, it's not. It's Rainer. She angrily corrected him, and Luffy shrugged. Hand over the nun and you won't be a pincushion by yours truly. You didn't learn your lesson last time? He asked her, which made her angrier if that was even possible. Enough, I'll end your pathetic life here and now. While Rainer was talking, she discreetly, Asia was gathering lightning into her hand and into one of her daggers, heavenly hand power. She teleported right in front of her Chidori. And struck her right in the shoulder, but they weren't done there. Luffy ran at her while the fallen was stunned from Asia's attack, Gomu Gomu no. She channeled in some lightning into Luffy's fists, and since lightning doesn't hurt him, there was no need to worry. Thunderbird Gatling gun. Barrage of fists hit her which caused her to shriek in pain due to the lightning. She couldn't do anything but take the hits, little more Asia. On it. Putting a bit more lightning into Luffy's fists, Gomu Gomu no Thunder Bazooka. As two palms hit her dead center in the stomach, causing some blood to flow out from her mouth and sent her to the ground. Damn it. He's so strong. Rainer was gasping for air, but she expected them to finish her off, but for some reason they didn't, instead just knocked her out with Luffy screaming how awesome the move was. So what now, Luffy? Asia asked the straw hat wearing boy, and he looked like he was deep in thought. Where are those pigeon people coming from? That's what he was thinking about, it wasn't the curses, but the pigeon people that wandered in his mind. Asia just deadpanned at her captain, obliviousness to the situation. Asia checked her body and noticed something on the back of her neck, which had some type of symbol. The curse has been put on her, most likely to manipulate her to do this person's bidding. She's not a bad person, she was just manipulated to do something she wasn't trying to, but putting a random person in your house would be suspicious. Asia, do you know anything that will put her out of commission until we find something that can help? Luffy asked the Thunder Maiden, and she nodded her head. Well, we could take her to an abandoned building. She thought to herself and went with that. Alright, now let's take her to an abandoned building so that no one can find her in these clothes. Asia stated and wondered if these could be considered clothes at all. Bringing her to an abandoned building, Asia set up some barriers around the building so that no one can just waltz in there. I forgot. Asia, I need to introduce you to my family, come on, let's go. As he ran off again, but this time Asia ran after him. Hey, wait for me, Luffy. What about lunch? Shishishi, we'll eat at home, try to keep up. Chapter 4. Oh my goodness, Luffy brought a girl home, yes. Grandbabies. Mickey yelled excited at the potential future of being a grandparent, while Rika and Izzy grumbled saying it's not fair, while Asia was tilting her head to the side cutely. Eh? What do you mean, she would have continued, but realizing what she meant and blushed hard. No, you got it wrong, I'm just a part of his crew, that's all. She exclaimed, trying to clear up the misunderstanding, but it was too late. Mickey was in La La Land while Goro was weeping with tears of pride, but there was something he had to know. Luffy, did you bring your armor? He asked his son, and Luffy not knowing what he was talking about at all. Armor? Of course, Dad, I've had it the entire time. Well, Goro patted him on the shoulder and told him how proud he was while Asia was covering her face in an embarrassment while Izzy and Rika grumbled and jealously. She's stealing an Aichin away from us. They stated collectively. You never got to introduce myself. My name is Asia Argento, proud crewmate of the future king of the pirates. She said with utmost confidence. She knew Luffy was going to be the king of the pirates, and there was no doubt in her mind. But judging by your clothes, you used to be a part of the church, correct? Izzy asked her, and she nodded her head, answering her question. Yes, I used to be a part of the church, but I was excommunicated due to stupid reasons. As she was still a little upset at the fact that they did that to her. Don't worry, Asia, now that you're here, this is your family, but that is only if you want to be part of the family. Mickey said to her, and Asia was shocked that these people that barely know her was showing her so much kindness. Can I really be part of your family? With a hint of hope in her voice, and Luffy confirmed her hope by one sentence. What are you talking about, Asia? You were already a part of my family the moment you met me and became a part of my crew, and that's a fact. Luffy smiled, and the rest did the same, making her cry and telling them thank you over and over again while gripping the ends of her dress. By the way, Asia, you never told me why they kicked you out, could you tell me? Luffy asked, and she had a sad look on her face which he hated. Well, when I was in the orphanage I was picked up by Griselda and she was my guardian for a time, but she trailed off trying to not get angry at the fact they did that to her. Apparently I healed a devil, and when they found out I was called a witch or a heretic because of what I did, and I was kicked out of the church with nowhere to go. But then I met Luffy, a complete stranger who was tired from fighting off the Marines sent after him, and I offered him something to eat, and he hugged me and offered to join his crew, and it was the best decision I've made. She finished her tale with a smile with a small blush on her face, remembering the hug she received and how warm it felt. That's just wrong, Izzy and Rika thought to themselves. This girl is a kind individual who wouldn't hurt anybody unless provoked, and they just threw her out like trash because she healed a devil. And from what Rias told us, the leaders of these factions said they were working for peace, Rika thought to herself. She may be a little slow, but don't they realize that peace is unachievable if you do it through methods like that? It could lead to a rebellion, and thus they would be back in another war. That is one of the reasons I left the church to begin with. Goro said to them, and they paid close attention. The main reason was because I didn't want to leave you all behind on a daily basis, but the one thing that made me leave was the fact they wanted me to kill innocents due to them knowing about the supernatural, and I heavily disagreed with that, and so I gave them a ticket to leave unscathed and told them if they need anything call me and I would be on my way. Saddened at the fact that the church wasn't all that holy as they made it out to be. I don't understand, couldn't they just use magic to erase their memories? Asia asked the retired exorcist. I asked them the same thing, but since their daughter had a piece of the white dragon Albion in her, they didn't want to take any chances. Well, he was saying that, Luffy was listening with a serious expression. Busy? Rika. Do you have anything you would like to tell me? Like weird dreams? Their father asked them, and they nodded their heads. Yeah. Izzy trailed off and showed them what sacred gear she had, which made Goro and Mickey worried because she was the Red Dragon Emperor of the generation, and Rika was the second person to have the eyes of the Lord, with the first being Adam, the father of humanity, who battled Zeus in a tournament for the fate of humanity, in which humanity won in a nail-biting victory. Rika was able to copy anybody's style of fighting, which earned her title the human monster, Mickey thought to herself, and she noticed she was gone, probably went to go for her last jog for the evening, and Goro decided to train Izzy and Rika once she returns due to the many people that want them for their sacred gears. So now I'm a part of the supernatural now, huh? Rika asked herself mentally while walking along the street with her hair now in a ponytail, with some long strands of her hair still free settling on the right side of her face, though some of the longer strands rested on her chest, using her favorite orange ribbon to keep her hair from blocking her vision. Wearing a long-sleeved red shirt that exposed her toned stomach, wearing light blue pants that hugged her lower body nicely whilst wearing a pair of red shoes, and from what she can assume, due to the many guys and girls whistling and compliments thrown at her, they liked what they saw. From what she remembered is that magic is something that you can use your imagination, so she wanted to be a Super Saiyan. She always loved that golden aura with that majestic gold hair, with the teal blue colored eyes along with it when she was a kid, and holy magic can help with that in terms of looks and power. But she doesn't want to use magic as well, so she'll use it only if she needs to. Her martial arts have always got the job done, so why switch it up now? Rika continued jogging, and eventually she spotted a group of people lining up. It must be some type of fight club or something, as she walked over to confirm her theory, and she was correct. Apparently they were lining up to beat this one guy, which she admitted had skill, and heard comments about him. Man, that guy is just too good. I hear ya, man, one of the days he'll lose. You know that will never happen. Why did I come here thinking that would change? Shirogane will never lose. So these guys fought this Shirogane guy, and judging by their defeated expressions they lost. She mused to herself. Well, you what they say, there's a first time for everything, and now it was her turn. He towered over her, standing at 6 foot 8 inches, but that didn't deter her at all. So you're next to get their ass kicked by me, huh? Don't worry, I won't mess you up too much. He said, taking in her looks, and noticed how hot she looked and made a decision. "I've decided that I will take you home when I beat you," he said with a perverted look on his face, and Rika still didn't respond, only getting into a fighting stance. Oh no, she's gonna get destroyed. It's sad to see, but what did you expect? He hasn't lost a fight in 2 years. Get out of there, little lady. As the crowd was assuming that she would be utterly destroyed by this man, but she wasn't concerned about what other people thought about this fight, and soon enough the match started. "I'll go easy on ya, I intend to show you a good time after all this is over," he said with pure confidence in his voice, and Rika stayed quiet and just let him keep talking, no traces of worry on her face. Sizing up her opponent, looking for any weaknesses in his style of fighting, he uses his longer wingspan to throw a punch which she ducked under and landed a quick jab to his jaw, and Shirogane threw a hook, and Rika dodges again to land a kidney shot to the taller opponent. And she jumped and kneed him right on the chin 3 times and flipped over him. Those 3 hits makes him stumble back as he was trying to not fall, he did, and took the next few moments to try and to get up, which he eventually did, only to look at her in disbelief. "Holy hell, did you see that?" "I saw it, I'm just working on believing it." "Did you see how fast that was?" Shirogane recovered from those hits, went to strike again, but since she was a lot quicker than him, dodged yet again another shot to the kidney. While he was trying to catch his breath, she landed a spinning kick to the side of his head, which makes him stumble again, looking at her in shock. Just how is she doing this? I haven't landed a single fucking hit on her. He shouted at himself, cursing at the fact he hasn't hit her not once. He realized he need to get serious. What type of style is this? She thought to herself, and he attacks yet again, but he was faster and aimed for the pressure points in her body, and he got one arm due to her being caught off guard by the speed and kicking her to the side, which she blocked this time, but the amount of power out into the blow sent her back a few feet. But he wasn't done there, he rushed again to land some shots to the body, and she had enough of that and landed a spinning kick right on his jaw, causing blood to go flying out of his mouth, which caused the crowd to go wild yet again. Damn, she's got one hell of a kick. Agreed. Pick his ass. It's incredible how strong and precise she is. The crowd was absolutely loving every second of it. I can tell you have been training yourself to the best of your abilities, and because of that I want to thank you," she told him while her opponent looked baffled. "Thank me? For what?" He spat out some more blood, glaring at her, and she had a look of a child who had nothing but innocence in her eyes that scared him for some reason. Why? Why is that childlike innocence in her eyes scaring him so much? He didn't notice that he was facing someone who could copy people's styles due to how much of a prodigy she was, and she didn't need a sacred gear to copy people's fighting styles because she was just that monstrous. "For giving me your fighting style." And her opponent was shocked, and the shock turned to anger at the fact that it sounded like she was mocking him. "Giving you my fighting style? You got quite the nerve, you little bitch," he exclaimed while Rika just kept staring and got into the same stance he just used on her, and with quick and precise strikes, she hit all the pressure points in his right arm, then his left, and he couldn't use arms in the fight for a few seconds, but eventually he could feel them again, but now the feeling of disbelief he feels right now because of what just happened invaded his mind. Impossible. Just how did she do that? Is that why she took the hits, so that she can learn my style and use it for herself? What the fuck? He was shocked, terrified and furious at the fact that she used his style with relative ease against him. It's absurd. Fucking ludicrous. If he didn't know what he was up against, a monster in human skin, now he does. "Now I believe it's my turn, right?" she asked him, which took him out of his thoughts. She wanted to use one of her 2 styles she absolutely loved. One of them was called Water Stream Rock Smashing Fist. Now that she can use her arm again, she could use it to its full potential and could use it right now, but decided not to. The fact that they call you unbeatable is comical. That comment made him bristle in rage, but she wasn't done. "Once I saw you fight, I noticed that you have never been in a fight with a professional, and because of that you will lose." And that was a fact, and it pissed him off even further. "Damn you, little wench. I'll make sure you regret those words." He spat out, and Rika just stared at him, not even fazed at those comments. "Is that so? Well then," she taunted him by tapping her chin. "Show me how you intend to do that," she stated, and in his blind rage, he obliged her by using the momentum and precision, landed an uppercut, made her step back a couple of steps, which the crowd went wild. Holy shit. She has to be out cold. She got too cocky. It isn't over until it's over. That last comment couldn't be more correct. Did you like that, little wretch? That's what you get, you dumb. Slowly Rika brought her head down to look at him, which terrified him because it looked like she wasn't even fazed by the hit she received. Usually a regular person who received such a hit would be out cold, but then again she wasn't a regular person. No fucking way. She took that head on and is still standing. It's over for him. She's not human. She can't be. Who cares, someone needed to teach him a lesson. She is so damn cool. He put his all into that uppercut, and not only did she take it, she was still standing. That's bullshit. Nonsense. Just how can she still be standing? No. I refuse to lose to this brat. He shouted in his mind. Damn you. And like a berserker he ran at her with the intent of caving in her skull, and with one a straightforward punch, in which she telegraphed easily landed a gut punch which made him cough up blood, but she wasn't done there. As he was falling she landed her own uppercut, knocking some teeth out as a bonus, knocking him out cold with the final words he said in his mind before falling unconscious. What a monster then fell to the ground slumped. She really, holy fucking shit, she really did it. He got knocked the fuck out. With the crowd yet again going crazy, she was already wondering what she should do to improve his style and make it even better, but first the style needs a name, and she knew what she'll call it. Thinking for a few moments, remembering how the fighting style looked and works. How about gentle fist? Yeah, that sounds good. Alright, now I should head home and have my own little celebration. She was cut off by her brother at the door. Rika. I see you won your fight. You were so cool. Luffy complimented her and she smiled. Thanks. Did you see the whole fight? She asked him and he responded saying that he saw a little bit of it and was proud of her and how strong she's become. Anyways, we should get going, we don't want mom catching you here in a fight club. He told her and she agreed immediately. Her mom was scary when she was mad, but that was the same for any mother that was worried for her children. Carrying her bridal style which made her blush beyond reason. What are you doing? Exclaiming at being held in such a manner. He feels so warm, she thought to herself, still blushing. Carrying you home, besides when we were kids we used to do this all the time. He remembered those times when his sisters faked injuries so that he would carry them home. Good thing I listened to my gut about Blackbeard betraying Gramps one day, he said in his mind. Asia said that she told his grandpa to watch out for Blackbeard and told him he wanted the Yami Yami no Mi due to its abilities, and since Asia is not the type of person to lie and betray anybody, he took those words to heart and sent it somewhere safe, but little did he know he sent it right at his doorstep, which he notices instantly. This first can negate other devil fruits, but if the user reaction time is not quick enough they will feel an absurd amount of pain, and Whitebeard knew that this fruit was dangerous and sent it to him to keep an eye on it. From what he learned, the higher-ups from the world government are sometimes with supernatural and made a device to extract devil fruits, but it wasn't a guaranteed. Most of the time it would fail. Gramps must have took Asia's words about Blackbeard to heart about one day he would betray his crew, but what to do with it? He thought, wondering what should he do with such a powerful devil fruit. Maybe he could give it to someone he trusts, perhaps Rika or Izzy. Or they could just keep it for themselves and let no one know about it. Yeah, that would be more smart, and plus Asia could put an illusion over it to hide it. Luffy said to himself. If he was on his grandpa's ship right now he would hear Blackbeard angrily screaming at the fact of not having his devil fruit that he wanted for so long. Blackbeard is probably mad about that right now because I've figured out his plan. He chuckled softly to himself, but even without the Yami Yami no Mi he was still dangerous. He's going to find the One Piece and become the king of the pirates while living freely on the high seas, freeing those under the tyranny of the world government or anybody under oppression. Some of the marines are cool though, like Akiji, Smoker, Tashigi, Kobe, Fujitora and Garp, who is also his grandpa. He likes them, but Akeno is a different story. He'll settle the score with him. Shishishi, one day I will find the One Piece and become the king of the pirates. He exclaimed in his mind. It will be one hell of a journey. The first act of the future king of the pirates has concluded, and now this is where his legend begins. Chapter 5. After arriving at the house, Rika suggested that they sneak in so that she doesn't get in trouble due to how late it was, and not to mention what would happen if her mom found out she was in a fight club. Please be asleep. Crossing her fingers and hoping her prayer was answered, and Luffy opens the door and no lights were on, so she let out a sigh of relief. Oh, thank goodness, I thought she was awake still. Getting off of her brother's back she went to the bathroom for a shower and head to bed. But that was until she heard her voice. Why are you sneaking around for Rika? A voice asked her and she knew instantly who it was, the person she was afraid of finding out, her mother. I was getting a midnight snack, that's all, trailing off nervously, but Mickey didn't believe that for 1 second, but didn't say anything other than look at her. Alright, she bought my excuse. She mentally cheering, but unfortunately what she thought was a winning situation turned out to be false as she saw her take out a belt and her eyes widen at that notion. Did you honestly think I believed that for 1 second? Her mother asked her with a knowing look, and Rika's plan was shattered as Mickey had risen up from the recliner couch and told Luffy to let her down, in which he did. Oh, by the way, I'll be gone for a few hours. It's about those rogue guys and those pigeon people that I saw a few days ago. Luffy told his mother. Pigeon people? Wait, is he talking about fallen angels? Have they been spying on them? Did they feel the presence of the red dragon in Izzy? Most likely they were doing both, but the major thing is that these fallen know what sacred gear she has, but that doesn't mean everybody else knows. So there are fallen angels in this area? She asked out loud and Luffy was kind of confused. Fallen angels? That's what they are called. He asked his mother and she nodded, and Luffy made sure to remember that and went out the door for that abandoned building where he and Asia left that girl named Rainer at. Rika was trying to sneak away, but Mickey looked at her general direction. "And where do you think you're going, Rika?" Her mother questioned as Rika was sneaking up the steps. But the Hanyu mask appearing right behind Mickey making her even more intimidating. "Someone save me." She begged but it was futile. "Anything else on those fallen angels?" Rias asked everyone as they were yet again on a stray hunt to keep their territory safe. Their supposed leader Rainer was captured and their hideout is a church, not to mention that there are some exorcists guarding the area as well. Kiba answered her with a grim expression. Their hideout was a church, damn it. This could be bad if they were to step foot in one, but at the same time they have been told to watch over this area, so this answer was obvious. They will have to step in the church and handle them as quickly as possible, otherwise they could restart a war. We should deal with them as soon as we can. Once we deal with the last batch of strays we'll focus our efforts on them. The Redeed declared, but Akeno was still skeptical about setting foot in a church. But Rias, if anyone finds out that you are in a church fighting, that put more pressure on the Satans. Akeno chipped in with worry. They don't want to be the cause of another great war, but Rias waved her off. It's either we deal with them or we could wait and something bad happens to the innocent people of this town, the same town we've been governed to watch over. She reminded her while already knowing what potential consequences they'll receive if they were found in a church. "I know it's a risk, but I don't see any other choice," Kiba said to the half-fallen angel. "Let's just get this over with." As they continued to the last stray nest near Kuo. It was time to end this, and with a magic circle they teleported to the location, but they didn't notice Luffy walking down the street as they left. Strays. Must be some monsters or something, and if that was the case he had to see how powerful this thing was. Depending on how strong the monster was he could have some fun before heading over to Rainer's location. They've teleported, but I can still sense they're still in Kuo and finding their aura using observation haki, taught by the Dark King himself really. His haki was good for his age, not to mention sometimes being in a fight that made him use it, so it was easy finding them with the experience he earned when he was on Whitebeard's crew. But he did find them, they were on the edge of Kuo and with that in mind. "Don't have fun without me. Omugomu no rocket." And he made his way to the nest where he would find familiar faces there as well. The Gremory Peerage arrived to their location which was abandoned shelter, but with the stench of death. "We're too late," Ria said frustrated by not being there in time, but Kaneko tugged her sleeve gaining her attention. "The only thing we can do now is put these strays down for good so that this doesn't happen again." The white-haired Nico told her and she was right. "You can't save everyone, you can only save who you can." "Rias, it's here." Akeno announced, holy lightning crackling around her fingertips. Immediately they all watched their backs from anything that moves. One misstep is all your opponent needs to take you down. Ria summoned her power of destruction. With her training she was able to make different weapons with different shapes and sizes that stay at the ready in midair. Sensing an attack coming behind her, flaring her clan's famed power of destruction, portals of weapons made from her magic flew at their target, but the stray was too fast and went to claw at them, but Kaneko caught the stray's fist and threw him across the room, while Akeno and Kiba were handling the ones in at their 12 o'clock, with strays coming them with holy magic imbued weapons ready to cut them down, but Kiba made a lightning blade that pierced the exorcist's stomach. Luckily since we've dealt with most of them they shouldn't have any backup," the Knight of Gremory declared. "That may be true, but still keep your guard up." Suddenly a huge hand grabs Rias and throws her to the wall, creating a small crack with her friend shouting her name. "Damn, didn't expect that." Recovering she looked to the ceiling but couldn't find anybody. "Spatial awareness," she said as a grey-like dome highlighted the building hoping to find her target. "Stay calm, keep focused," she chanted to herself. "Lightning magic. Electric cables." Her queen shouted, cables of electricity wrapped around the group of exorcists, and they were wrapped up in electricity and lost consciousness. The exorcists may be dealt with, but there was still a problem unsolved which was the stray they were hunting. "Shit. She's underground." Rias told them as the same giant hand that threw Rias the caught her the last time was dodged by her, with Kiba slicing off its fingers for some payback. It was some type of mutant chimera with a woman seemingly fused with it. "So your visor, damn you're more ugly in person," Rias said mocking her. Now that she's up close and personal the chimera-fused devil woman looked worse than in the pictures. "Oh, so they sent you, the Gremory princess," she sneered while Rias twitched at the Gremory princess comment, but she shrugged it off. "Aha, very funny but it's about time we kill you now," Rias said with her dark red portals of weapons made from pot aiming at Visor. Visor grinned and made magic circles holding projectiles and shot at them with Akeno produced lightning under Visor, shocking her and keeping her in place whilst screaming. Kiba made a flame sword, Purgatory Fang, and cut the side of the monster, but this time she grabbed Kiba and threw him into some chairs as hard as she could. "Damn brats." Pissed about they got the drop on her as Rias made a bow of destruction and fired arrows using her bloodline as well making contact with her. Fortunately she camouflages herself and the arrows missed by a second. "Damn it again, this is getting annoying," Kaneko told them, and feeling the air shift around her, "There you are." grabbing Visor's tail stopping her. Visor channeled fire magic into her tail, but Kaneko wasn't letting go and slowly but surely lifted her off the ground and slammed her on the floor, causing the stray to cough up blood and cracking the floor as well. Why you little brat? Pay attention. Kiba made 2 blades in the air and sent them straight into her, cutting off her ear, making her hiss in pain. Enough. Creating a dome of energy that sent them back a few feet. With some breathing room, she charged up her own attack and it slowly floated up in the air. It's been fun, but it's time to. A fist strikes her right in the temple, sending her into the side of the building, while the man who did that brushed off his shirt. Finally I made it. Luffy announces. Would have been here faster if he wasn't attacked by a bird that picked a fight with him for no reason. Rias and company recovered from the sudden attack and notices Luffy here as well. Luffy? Why are you here? Rias asked, but wondering how he knows where they were here. When I was walking, I picked up your conversation since you were only a few feet away. He answered her and she stared at him. So you heard the exact location of where we were going by coincidence? She questioned him and he answered saying that was exactly it. Listen Luffy, you need to get out of here, there's. Coming out of the camouflage spell, Visor went to strike at Luffy, but he just imbued Haki into his arm and blocked her strike whilst grabbing her and throwing her aside with ease, shocking the devils. So, you're this monster that I've heard about, you're really slow. He said bluntly. The hell is this kid? Visor said mentally, but shaking those thoughts off since it doesn't matter since he will die. Move aside kid, I'm trying to kill these brats, especially the Gremory. If she could kill her it would be an achievement she could die happy with. That's not gonna happen since she's a future member of my crew. He told her. Your crew? Idiot, do you know the shitstorm you are walking into when her family hears about this? Stated the Womanchimera hybrid, and Luffy didn't give a damn. Don't know, don't care. He told her dismissively. Gomu Gomu no. Rias was genuinely shocked about what she heard. It didn't matter if her family goes after him, confidently stating she's a future member of the Straw Hats without hesitation and with utmost certainty. Future member huh? Thinking to herself, but there was a problem, and they was the engagement to Riser Phoenix, something she wanted no part of but couldn't do a damn thing about it. That didn't mean she didn't try, but it was all futile. Damn moron, I'm ending this. Visor declared, but was interrupted by a punch, pistol. His arm stretched and decked her right in the face again, and she recovered and charged a magic blast, but that didn't stop Luffy. As she shot the beam at him, he coated his arms in Haki and punching it, while also negating the blast, shocking her. What? Visor was visibly shook at what she saw. Gomu Gomu no bazooka. Striking her right in the abdomen, but he wasn't done there. Gomu Gomu no whip. Stretching his leg to strike her in the ribs, she went to attack, but he dodged and kicked her away. How is he stretching like that? Akeno asked, shocked by what she was seeing. Ah, so he has a devil fruit. Ria said, now knowing what made him special. Devil fruits are a mystery in the supernatural world, especially since they can't be turned to different species if the person consumed one. Damn it. Hold still. She clawed at him and he was dodging. This idiot was getting on her nerves. This was supposed to be easy, but then this happened. Gomu Gomu no, his leg stretches all the way up to the ceiling and through it and began to bring it down. No, this ends here, charging at him and went to grab him and squeeze the life out of him. You're dead. Smiling psychotically, and she went to grab him, or she wanted to, as a foot slams right on her head. Axe. And her face was embedded into the ground, creating a crack from the amount of force from the attack. I win. With his signature smile, and the others looked at him shocked. Be strong, very much so. There he is. What exactly was that? Luffy asked her, wanting to know what he thought really was. He knows a lot of different creatures and even befriending them since he stepped foot in the new world, but this monster's aura felt off, and she answers him honestly. That was a stray devil, Luffy. She answered his question and he gained an inquisitive look on his face. Are they related to those fallen angels? He asked her. Wait, how do you know what a fallen angel is, Luffy? As Akeno made sure that Visor was dealt with and he responded, they were near my house, looked like they were spying on us. He stated, and Rias wondered if he knew where their leader was but decided not to. Anyways Rias, have you decided to join my crew yet? And she answered, I've got an issue I need to work out and I'll give you my answer, I promise. Smiling at him as the feeling of being engaged to Riser was pushed back. Shouldn't she choose who she would marry and not some useless politicians? But she doesn't know if she could beat Riser, but she'd be damned if she didn't try her hardest. Oh, what about Sona? Is she considering as well? Excited that he could get 2 potential crew members, and she nodded her head and he jumped around while they laughed at his antics. Could he beat Riser? With a display of power and how that black shiny metal negated a blast, could he? After all, he did say she was part of his crew and he is her friend and he would fight anybody who messes with his friends. Come on guys, we have to celebrate our victory, right? Excited at the prospect of delicious food. I mean, he's not wrong, I could go for a celebration. Kiba chipped in. Ditto. Kaneko said with her usual monotone voice. Since Rias is the richest here, she'll pay for all you can eat buffet. Akeno slyly said and Rias looked at her wide-eyed. Wait, hold on, yes. All you can eat buffet. Now that's how you celebrate. Luffy shouted with his arms raised in the air. Now hold on, no time to waste, I'm hungry. Luffy told her and grabbed her hand which surprised her with little hint of red on her cheeks. Let's go. Running to the exit full speed ahead. Hold on Luffy, slow down. She shouted at him, but he did not let up. Damn, I could go for some crab cakes. As Kiba's stomach grumbled in agreement and ran right behind them. Harfits, here I come. Kaneko was in hot pursuit. I feel sorry for Ria's wallet. Akeno said as she felt it was necessary to apologize for what was about to happen to her money, and she was right behind Kaneko. Chapter 6. Man, I'm stuffed. Thanks Rias. But the Redeed had a dark cloud over her head after witnessing something she thought was impossible. I just don't understand how can he eat so much. It was truly horrifying seeing all the money she had to spend, but there was no need to worry, since it will just be back to the way it was in a few days anyways. Still didn't erase the disbelief from how much was spent though. Can you guys tell me what a stray devil is? Luffy asked them and Akeno explained it to him. Stray devils are servants who betrayed their masters, although there are some cases that servants like slaves. Paying attention very closely to the information coming from her. I would be lying if I said no because some devils treat them like slaves, but not Sona and I, we are one of the few high-class devils who treat their peerage like family. Couldn't they just leave and go about their life? She shook her head no and went on to explain. If only it was that easy, but no. If the servant was to leave their master then they would be hunted down for the rest of his or her life. She answered him with honestly. She still had doubts about the Kuroka incident. If she was a bloodthirsty psychopath from what they had claimed then why would she beg her brother to take care of her sister? It just didn't add up. And these chess pieces, why couldn't he just reverse the effect and change them back to human? From what you told me this Ajuka guy could change their race, surely he could revert them back to the way they were right. Luffy questioned her, but the question did make a lot of sense in the eyes. If he can make humans and other races devils then surely he can reverse the effect of them, right? Rias shook her head and with that he got his answer. And could Haki negate the effect of these pieces? There was only one way to find out. Is that stray still at the church? I want to try something. They nodded their heads in unison and with that they went back to the church where they found Visor still unconscious. I don't think this will work Luffy. She didn't want him to waste his efforts in this, but he insisted. How can I know when I haven't tried yet? Using observation Haki he noticed the floating chess piece inside of her and with a precise attack, with the armament Haki coating his hand. Is he doing what I think he's doing? The ruined princess thought to herself. There was no way this would work. Yes, she didn't like how the chess piece system worked, but there was no way that. No fucking way. Kiba exclaimed and they saw it in his hand, it was a glowing chess piece. How is this possible? Akeno was just as flabbergasted as everybody else. If anyone caught wind of this then this would make him enemy number one when it comes to their evil piece system, but Luffy was happy that his experiment worked and he crushed the rook piece in his hand. And if they needed any more confirmation of it working Visor slowly but surely turned back into a human, no longer a chimera hybrid monster. Luffy? Did you know what you just did? Rias asked him and he put his hands on his head in a relaxed manner. Yep, I freed her from that evil piece thing you were talking about. Rias just didn't know what to do or say about what she just saw, but she wasn't going to tell anybody about this. Yes you did, but you might have just caused an impending political storm from this stunt. Rias told him. Okay. He was so nonchalant that it caused them to laugh a little. Why did you do it? You barely know this girl, and yet you went out of your way to do something for her. She pointed to the now human Visor, and he responded saying, it's not if I can do it or not, I did it because I want to, and that's all there is to it really. The answer was quite simple, and they all understood what he meant by that. He didn't have any obligations or anything like that, he did it because he has the freedom to do so. Just what is that shiny metal, and just how did he just rewrite someone's genetics like that? Is it because of that black shiny metal? They thought in unison. Oh crap, I forgot about something important. He was supposed to go to that warehouse and talk to that fallen angel girl. Wait, hold on Luffy, but he was already out of the church heading to his designated location, but he yelled to them, there's something I got to do, see you later. And with that he swung through the city of Kuo while they just watched from afar. Rias? Her knight began to say something, but she held her hand up. I know Kiba, what just happened was something unexplainable and a complete gamakinger. Kaneko walked up to the unconscious body of Visor. What should we do with her? Erase her memories. Now that she's back to being human there's no need to kill her. Let her live her life without being plagued by the memories of being a monster, but this begs the question. Should she report what she just saw or just turn a blind eye? And with a few seconds of pondering she found her answer. Well, it's not my problem, besides he's my friend, so if I can keep him away from those bullshit politicians from the underworld by turning a blind eye, then so be it. She didn't care about, not at all. If anything she was happy this happened. But on the side note, she doesn't think she will be able to be a pirate, since with Izzy and Rika being prime candidates for being a ridiculously overpowered humans, they will need all the help they can get, and who's to say that something else will pop up that will endanger his sisters and Kuo itself. But he did say they will still be friends and allies, even if she, her peerage, Sona or her peerage didn't become pirates, so it will be okay. I just realized we have month off from school due to all the gang activity in the area recently, so no school, thank God. Ouch. They clutched their heads in pain. Damn it, Rias. Kiba said disappointingly, and she looked sheepish. Heh, my bad. It was honest mistake, she swears it. But they didn't know that a certain black cat saw this all go down, and she was shocked by what she saw. He really reversed the effect of the evil pieces. How did he do that? She's been searching for the longest time for a way to get rid of this accursed evil piece, and lo and behold, a way presented itself to her right in front of her very eyes. She was happy she could be a Nekashu again, and not to mention that he was close to her little sister as well. What a time to be alive right now. Hiroka. Anything to report? Her boss aka office asked her, and she immediately responded. Yes, I have something amazing to report. Is that so? Well then, what is it? She was certain she would be pleased to hear about what she just saw. In the eastern part of Kuo, a girl with black and blue hair, the same colored clothes as her eye, with green eyes with a white fur coat over her shoulders, while sipping a wine glass with a certain straw hat wearing boy crossing her mind. It's been 2 years since I last seen you, Luffy, maybe I should pay a visit to your hometown. She was trained by one of the best snipers in the world by a man named Yasip. He was in the pirate world while she was in the supernatural world of things, and sometimes had to get involved with pirates, even developing her own style for close-range combat if the situation called for it. Whilst enjoying the view of Tokyo on top of her huge mansion, this was Yellen, a close friend to Luffy and a close friend rival to Asia. Also a member of the Straw Hats. Can't wait to see you, darling. Licking her lips, sirens cut her off, which annoyed her to no end. First I gotta take out the trash, then I'll be good to go. Should I call Sukuna or Yoriichi? It'll be fine. Chapter 7, Guo Japan, Luffy's POV. Alright, she's still in there. Pushing open the huge doors, he noticed Asia already there as well. She must have known that I was gonna be here. Oh Asia, have you found out a way to remove that curse or whatever? I asked her. I didn't start without you here, I figured you would want to be here as well. The Thunder Maiden responded, and I nodded my head, and Asia worked her magic and located the curse, but it floated above us but didn't do anything to us. It was weird. Did it work? Asia nodded her head, and soon enough the fallen angel woke up, her eyes slowly opening to look at her surroundings. Where am I? Wasn't I in my room? Rainer thought to herself. By the gust of wind and the cold floor, she wasn't in her room. Hey you're finally awake. I said to her, and she looked at me and Asia for a couple seconds, blinking while doing so, and then she backpedaled a few feet away, screaming all the while. Who the hell are you guys? Why am I not in my room? Or wa monkey d Luffy, kizoku unai naru toko da. And she just looked at me and instantly knew who she was in front of. So you're the one the world government is after? She asked, and I gave her a nod. She looked at Asia, who was beside me. And who's she? Still confused by all that's happened. Asia Argento, also known as the Thunder Maiden, but that right now is irrelevant. Asia walked closer to her, sitting down across from her, and I did the same. Why were you sent to kill me? Who sent you to kill me? She asked her, and Rainer responded, don't know, the last thing I remember was being in my room. Kalwerner, Dehanseek, Middled, are they okay? She tried to get up but fell right back down. She has to try and get them back before it's too late, they could be dead at any moment. Dehanseek? Kalwerner? Oh, you mean the other two that were with you? I asked her and she froze. We're with her? Does that mean they're? Don't worry, they're still alive. Asia assured her, and the two-winged fallen angel calmed down. That's a relief, putting a hand over heart, and I saw that she cared for her friends, and she was just on edge. Well, do you have anywhere else to stay? I asked her and she nodded her head. But since that curse was forced on me, it's most likely it's the same with Kalwerner and Dehanseek. That momentary weakness of being controlled disgusted her to no end. Hey Asia, do you know any type of spells that could track this guy? Who knows how any other people he has under his command? Using a tracking spell on the curse, it pinpointed right back to the location it came from. A strike of lightning showed us the way. France, that's where this person is. Nodding my head, and with that in mind, I now have a new place to go and new things to see, and most importantly kick this guy's ass. Hey Asia. Guess what? We're going to France, aren't we? Yep, you know me so well. She chuckled softly and stood up and looked right at me. When are we going? Tomorrow. I'll tell Rias and Sona about these curses and how they affected your friends. Asia told the fallen angel. Thank you, but why? Why are you guys doing this? I turned around, answered her. Because I can. And she was stunned at such an answer. There was one thing she came to the conclusion of, and that was, you guys are weird. And let out a sigh of defeat. They barely know her, so why would they do this for her? She couldn't find an answer to that question. Oh Luffy, here. Asia put on my black coat for me with it resting shoulders and putting on my straw hat. Yosh. Next stop France. I yelled in excitement. Rainer was leaving, but a stretched hand grabbed her, stopping her from going anywhere. Come on, you're coming with us. Wait, what? Why should I go? She yelled. Hey, you don't want to go with us, quite a shame, isn't it, Asia? Indeed, and I was starting to like her too. I thought we were bonding. Crying real fake tears. Rainer looked at Asia, and with that look she has made her feel guilty and instantly gave in. Alright. I'll go. So stop looking at me like that, damn it. Asia had an innocent smile on her face. Too easy. Rainer will meet you right here to pick you up, since it's a long trip, we'll be going in the morning. Rainer nodded her head and went home, leaving us alone in the warehouse. Well, let's go home, I'm hungry. You're always hungry, Luffy. Asia commented and I just laughed and she smiled and we headed home. Lilith, Underworld, Gremory household. It was a nice day in the Underworld, although the skies were purple, it was beautiful to look at. But within the Gremory household, there was 4 devil kings discussing about the supernatural world, but 2 of the 4 were worried about their siblings. Surzich's Lucifer, the elder brother of Ria's Gremory, father of Milika's Gremory along with Seraphol Leviathan, the elder sister of Sona Citri, were on edge, and the reason is that neither of their siblings have kept in contact with them. They know they were still Kuo, but the tracking spells they had to watch over them were destroyed. I'm sure they're okay, you two, you both worry too much. Ajuka said, sipping his glass of wine. But what if something happened to Soten? If someone did, I will freeze them death forever, laying a finger on her. The room's temperature dropped dramatically from her ice magic. As it ever occurred to them that they just wanted to be independent? Ajuka wondered but let the thought pass. Like I said before, they're fine. Speaking of which, how's the peace talks with other factions going? Seraphol let out a tired sigh that they were all familiar with. I would say we're getting somewhere with the Gregorian Heaven, but with the Yokai faction and Shinto Pantheon, however, is different story. Oh right. The Shinto Pantheon have stated that they wanted nothing to do with them after creating a clone of Irachi, the 8-headed snake that terrorized Shinto territory until Susanoo killed it. Adding on to that the unfortunate massacre of the Nekashis due to the Nibirius clan leader that was killed by Kuroka as she wanted to protect her sister, but once they got the info it was too late, the damage was already done. The devils killed off an entire race in retribution, and ever since then they directed all their hate directly at them, especially at them, the 4 Satans. It was something they were ashamed of, but it was too late to change what happened. Isaka, who has one Seraphol's closest friend, decided that if no justice will be done for her people, then she can forget about a treaty with the Yokai. And with that their friendship was shattered. Isaka was someone who used violence as secondary option, but ever since the massacre, she hardened her heart and wasn't the same since. She remembered what she said to back then. I have seen my people who I love and care for burned to death. The children were put on display by their heads being sat on the end of their weapons, the women used for the lustful desires and discarded like trash, and you come to me wanting peace, you really are a mongrel, get out of my sight. Those words were spoken clearly and thus ended their friendship, and it wasn't going to get better anytime soon. Not only that, reports of nuns have gone missing from the church as well. An alarm from the evil P system sounded off, alerting all of them, and went to his laboratory via magic circle. What's going on? He asked his co-workers and they answered, you wouldn't believe me if I told you, sir. Well, tell me and I'll give you my answer if I believe you or not. He walked over to the presentation of the evil P system. It appears there's been a breach in the evil P system. He answered, what? How long ago was this? He demanded of his subordinates. Around 15 minutes ago, sir. Location from where this happened is in Kuo. And neither Sona or Rias reported back to them. Did something happen to one of their peerage members or worse them? We're heading to Kuo. Seraphol said to her childhood friend and Surzich's nodded. Setting up a magic circle, Seraphol, Surzich's went straight to Kuo town. They need to know if their siblings are okay. Let me know in the comments below if you guys want the next part. Also check out my other video that has been shown and left. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video please like and share this video. And have a fantastic day, bye.